Welcome to Alan's Creativity Room. Wherever you are in the world and whatever time zone you're in, here in Athens, Georgia, it's 10:30 Eastern Daylight Time on a beautiful, beautiful Sunday morning. Was out for a walk just earlier. It was really pleasant, and now I'm going to join you playing in my room. It brings back memories of watching Mr. Rogers or Captain Kangaroo. Anyway, my name is Alan, as it shows both left brain, right brain look here. And these are samples of some of the props I've used or still use in various programs I do on leadership, communication, teamwork, and creative thinking. My primary focus is helping people become more creative in their thinking, in their workplaces, and then eventually their lives. Today I'm going to just take these 10 to 12 minutes and introduce you to a creativity style or creative thinking style model that I developed years ago based on studies of many others that are used in various countries and some completely around the world. This embroidery was created by a friend of mine using graphics representing the four primary thinking styles on my model. Having get my orientation right, the arrows leading off to the left represent the logical mind, the people that use facts, figures, specifics, and logic in all their decisions. The one next to it with the clouds exploding like brainstorming is the intuitive mind, the divergent mind, the one that is constantly looking for new ideas and seldom will do anything the same way twice. Doing this backwards is challenging. All the smile faces represent the people that come from feeling, from harmony, from emotion, and want everything to be more family-like. Unfortunately, most collections of people, whether you call them groups, teams, or whatever, tend to be very dysfunctional because they haven't really learned to think collectively or in teams. All the little boxes represent the systematic approach, or what I call directive. I'll explain that in more detail in a minute. Just like children's blocks, everything is numbered, everything is in order, everything has a specific way of being done. Ta-da! Art is usually what people relate creative thinking to. But every aspect of our lives, from birth to death, can be done more creatively. One of the habits I've had for many years, besides cartooning, has been collecting caricatures or cartoons of me by various other artists. This is one from the editorial artist, I think his name was Mark Stretcher in Savannah many years ago. Here's a two-dimensional representation of what I just held in the embroidery, showing the same. This is what I gave the embroidery artist, and then she turned it into this mini quilt. All right, let's do this in an organized, relatively systematic way to keep the time realistic. The giant M, the perfect Roman typeface of an M, is what I represent, the meditative or the logical. We'll get into the traits in a moment. The intuitive, my graphic is always multiple eyes in different typefaces, constantly moving, almost four-dimensional or five-dimensional, which is what seems to be the apparent way their minds work. Negotiative, I use lowercase because they don't like formal titles, they like personal names, and they tend to group, cluster, or become the word they like, family. The directive, the ones who follow the rules, go step by step, I've always shown them doing this, almost like the leader and all the followers following them, all in order. no one out of step. All right. Meditative, hopefully you can see this. If not, I will post these slides after I finish this. But 10 basic things, and I'll just highlight a couple of them. I said before, use facts, their answers. When they play alone usually, or with people they truly trust and know. They're questioners. Whether or not they verbalize them, when you, as someone they don't know, are giving a presentation, they're in their minds questioning you until it makes sense in their minds. And last, they tend to be good at math and often like science or scientific things. In the case of the intuitive, quite a bit different. Ideas jump into their brains, whether they know they're coming or they're even looking for them, quite often as they wake up or as they're out walking for exercise like I was doing about an hour and a half ago. They highlight their imagination. They see or sense ideas. Not all intuitives have a third eye with film in it. I'm one of those. Even though I've been a visual artist most of my life, when I close my eyes, I can only imagine it. I don't see images normally. They pretend easily. They're guessers. They're risk takers by other people's standards. They don't see it as a risk. If plan A doesn't work, they do plan B. If that doesn't work, they do plan D. If that doesn't work, they use plan X. The word can't is the worst four-letter word for them. All you have to do is to challenge them is to say you can't do it. And if they truly want to, they'll find a way. When it comes to the negotiative, they obviously are friendly. They're the ones putting their hand out. They're the ones hugging at conferences. They're the ones hanging around, laughing and having a great time. They're the ones doing selfie photographs. They're the ones doing groupie photographs, which I just saw a different definition of the word bomb in photograph. I thought it was when someone, like if someone walked behind me or stuck their face in, that was bombing. But apparently all these, whenever we take weird, unusual positions, that's now called bombing. Didn't know that. They're very loyal. They play with ideas. They involve everyone, no matter how introverted or how extroverted that person is. They're extremely trustworthy. The worst thing you can do is break their trust. Now they're highly structured, organized, or what I call directive. They work step by step by step. They have a deadline, they have a plan, they have schedules, they have each benchmark that they need. They tend to be neat and organized. If you look at their desk, you do not see chaos. You do not see what's behind me or the area outside of the image, which is even more chaotic currently. They're always on time. They're dependable. Does things right by what they think is right. There's one thing about doing the right things or doing things right. Those are not exactly the same thing. All right. Now, here's the issue for me, and the foundation of most of my work for over 40 years now, is the fact that, yes, we have different thinking styles. No matter what model you use, we have different ways of doing things in learning, speaking, solving problems, and so forth. So I have these 4 charts I'm going to show you now. Once again, these will be in slides connected to this Facebook or on a separate album on Facebook. But what I've done with this model, with these posters, is I put the bold for that particular major style, and then their reactions, what they think of the others. And I'll just touch on a couple here. Once again, meditative is very precise, thorough. Lost my pointer. Very precise, thorough thinkers, and so forth. But when they look at the people that are similar to them, complementary to them, the term I use, which is vertically, rulebook bound, mentally stuck, can't think for themselves, and they will have trouble with each other at least 25% of the time, up to. Now going across, these styles contrast each other. They look at the intuitives as out in space, no facts or proof, out of touch with the reality, which is why they have difficulty working with them until they get to know them as people and accept their strengths. Diagonal is the contradicting. I've seen that in every model I've ever looked at that has multiple styles. The ones directly across from it are what I call contradict, and they will often have troubles up to 75%. Once again, depending on whether they know each other or not. And in this case, they see the touchy-feely is the term they would use, way too sensitive, takes things too personal, pushy, and so forth. I'm looking at my time, so I'll just show you that there are 4 of these, which I will include in the follow-up. But I promise to stay within my 10 to 15 minute limit, and I'm right around 15. So there are the 4. You'll notice the colors. Many years ago, when I first got involved with right brain, left brain in the 70s, I started using color to represent left and right. And I pulled the colors from the yin-yang. The left is red in the Tao approach. Green is the intuitive or the right brain. But then as I explored other models that had 4 or more dimensions, I added additional colors. But I added the colors from an aesthetic purpose, from an artistic background, and also a practical background so I could use them in the media I used. Red, the logical, the meditative. Green, the opposite, the contrasting, the intuitive. Blue, the contradicting of the meditative, to the red. And as an artist, you don't usually mix red and blue. In the case of green and orange, you don't mix those. These are secondary and primary colors that can clash. Aha! Da, 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 da. That's my first 15-minute live mini workshop using live video. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching it later, you have the benefit of being able to immediately see the slides, either in an album that I will create or attached to this particular Facebook message. Once again, thank you wherever you are in the world for being here. And hopefully some of you have actually signed in and left notes. Bye-bye.